4 years ago, if you would have told me that the red pill space and sort of like the manosphere would cause a political realignment in this country, I think I would have like laughed. And now in retrospect, I feel stupid for not even like thinking about the consequences in that way. I think maybe I didn't want to consider that it would have that kind of an impact. Friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, hit like, comment, subscribe. It really helps us out, and I appreciate everybody who does that. Longtime viewers of the channel are aware that I am a huge fan of chess, which brings me to the sponsor of today's video, AnyChess.com. This is a variation of chess that is being developed alongside chess.com, another organization that I've done partnerships with in the past. What's unique about this kind of chess is the introduction of spells. Each turn you take adds 1 mana to your pool, and you can use that mana to cast spells during the game. They've recently launched the alpha version of the game that you can now get exclusive access to using code Hutch. There is a link down in the description below. If you click it, it'll take you to the site. I played it for a couple days now. It is a lot of fun. If you're a fan of chess and you want to experience a new way to play it, check it out. Hello. Hello. All I see for your name is T. What's your name?
Yeah, it's Trisnia.
Oh, Trisnia. Oh, Trisnia. Is it Trisnia?
Yeah, Trisnia. I've been in here a few times.
I've been saying your name is Trisnia for like 6 years, I think.
Well, either way works. So I'm joining a little late here, and I wanted to ask, what would you think the major thing the Kamala campaign failed on, like for this election? Like, I guess what would you attribute the loss to the most?
I've thought about this, and like right now, my answer is I think she relied too much on traditional media and didn't make enough efforts to explore alternative media appearances. I'm not saying that I think she should have for sure taken the Rogan interview, because I don't know, I feel like that could have backfired in so many different ways, but I have no data to support this yet. But like what my gut's telling me is I think alternative media played a way bigger part in this election than in previous elections. And I don't think that she made enough efforts. Like she went on like the call me your daddy podcast or whatever. I think she should have taken advantage of those spaces a lot more. She should have targeted space. I mean, this is what the data show right now, right? Is that like young men, there was a huge swing towards Trump for young men. And what are these young men, like, where are they getting their information? They're getting their information from
watching podcasts and influencers
and Valuetainment and Joe Rogan or whatever. And so like, I hope that whoever we nominate next time feels comfortable going in the lion's den. I hope that like someone, I don't know if it's going to be Pete, for example. I don't know if it's going to be Pete. I mean, like after just having an election, like watching the electorate shift right, it makes me really blackpilled on us electing a gay man in 4 years. But if it's not Pete, it needs to be someone like Pete that feels comfortable going in there and like, and is sharp enough to have those conversations in a convincing way, and also in a way that doesn't come across as too combative. Like Mark Cuban, I think, was a really good example, because he went into the like all those spaces. Mark Cuban went on Rogan, he went on Theo Vaughn, he went on Valuetainment, and he was very assertive in his critiques of Donald Trump, and he was very assertive in his reasoning for supporting Kamala. But he also came across as like very likable. He also came across as very what's the word I'm looking for? He didn't go in there like he didn't go in there ready to just lay into these people, you know, like he had that disagreement with Dana White, and then at the end,
you could shoot the breeze with.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so they need, like, I think whoever the Democrats go with in 2028, we need to attack those spaces so much more aggressively. Again, I don't have the data to show you it was because of these podcasts, but I feel like you can make that reasonable inference just by.
I think it's a bit of the opposite, and I'll get into why. But it's funny that you mentioned Pete, because the other day I was watching his Jubilee performance. I don't know if you saw, but he was basically talking to a bunch of undecideds in Michigan, and most of them, pretty much all of them, didn't know what Kamala's policies were. And Pete's been a guy who's been going on Fox News for years now, basically trying to tout the achievements of the administration and whatnot. And I feel that since Kamala's policies weren't known, I feel like that's more of a Democratic problem, not just her problem. I think the main mistake was Biden dropping out too late. and only giving her 3 months to basically make her case. Because pretty much all my friends talked to, I know some of them voted for Trump, and they said because they didn't know who Kamala was. And that was it.
Well,
I think, yeah.
Name recognition is one of, if not the most important assets that any politician has.
1,000,000,000%.
Yeah. So like, that's why,
because
Biden won in 2020 because people knew of him because of Obama, and Obama, he was able to like sort of cultivate, he's a bit of an anomaly because he's just so charismatic and he's just such a good speaker, and he's so eloquent that he was able.
I'm not saying everyone needs to be Obama or even Pete, because we know Pete's phenomenal at what he does. I'm saying I think Democrats should do a better job of simply getting the message out there, because how many people knew what the CHIPS Act was, if you have to guess?
Oh man, less than 10%? Do you have a number for me?
I have no clue, but anyone I talk to, they don't know what CHIPS is.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they would assume that's something else.
Yeah.
And then what I think is, basically, we need more people to go out there and get the message. Do what basically Pete was doing for all this time, because most people know Biden as the guy who falls downstairs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and if that's all they know, then what are they going to know when he steps aside and this unknown candidate comes in, and only we know her because we're engaged in politics? So I think we need to do a way better job of touting achievements, if I had to guess.
I think you're exactly right. I think like, and I've been thinking about that more and more, especially in the last, like, since last night. But I think that the Democrats, I'm not saying they need to go out there and bullshit people like Donald Trump does, but what the Democrats need to do is they need to adapt to this dynamic and rapidly changing media environment. And I don't think they've adapted to that yet. I think Kamala should have been doing multiple long form, like sit down, like podcast style stuff. Like Rogan, how many views does the Rogan Trump thing have at this point? It's insane.
Last I checked, it was 2.5 million, but that was
no. Dude,
okay, then I only saw the opening hour.
That episode with Donald Trump is sitting at 46 million views, which is just astounding. And if they have a candidate that can tap into a social media ecosystem like that and come across as really favorably or whatever, that's just such an enormous advantage. And you can't overcome that advantage with just traditional media appearances. Like going on The View is not going to be enough.
Yeah, I'd say it does better with younger demographics, because I was talking with someone a while back, and they said Kamala should have gone on Lex, like the same way Trump did, Lex Friedman. Yeah, she definitely missed an opportunity by not reaching out to him.
That I 1000% agree with, because at the very least, Lex is like, I wouldn't put Lex in the same category as Trump, where like, I think Lex is Rogan a bit, either. That's what I meant, Rogan. I think Lex is a bit naive, and he kind of gets on my nerves sometimes. Some of his interviews I think have been like really interesting depending on the subject matter. He did one with Todd Howard that I thought was really cool. But if you agreed to like a 2.5 hour conversation with Lex Friedman, he's not going to hit you with like, oh yeah, well, I heard the vaccine gives you myocarditis, and someone like Rogan, he's so in this space, like he can just off the cuff hit you with like 30 dumb conspiracy theories or pieces of misinformation. And if you're not sharp enough to respond to each and every one of those things, you're just going to get steamrolled. But with someone like Lex, it would be like, what's your philosophy on leadership? Or like, how do we bridge the divide? It would have been questions like that. And Lex, that would have got like 20 million views. That would have got like 30 million views. I completely
for sure.
agree with you there.
Definitely with younger guys, because Democrats are basically losing them. That's at least what the trends are showing.
Oh, they are fleeing the Democratic Party, young men in this country. It's alarming.
It's going to be a while before that rebounds, because I think the red pill movements, some of this was out of their hands. I think the red pill movement really screwed with Gen Z. Yeah. A good portion of us. Yeah. I wouldn't say in my circles, but I definitely notice it, the language.
And people like me have kind of treated that kind of space as like with like mockery and dismissal. And you know, if you would have told me that 4 years ago, if you would have told me that the red pill space and sort of like the manosphere would cause a political realignment in this country, I think I would have like laughed. And now I in retrospect, I feel stupid for not even like thinking about the consequences in that way. I think maybe I didn't want to consider that it would have that kind of an impact, but it clearly
I had no
has.
idea it was. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed it would even become political because I didn't pay attention until Gonzalo Lira started making statements about Ukraine. And what does that have to do with the dating scene? So I was wondering where that crossover came from. So I think, not to sound conspiratorial, but I think Russia pushed this message. They definitely amplified it.
Well,
And that sort of folded into the alt-right movement.
well, we know for sure that Russia was funding, you know, American sort of like right-wing media people through Tenet. And yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. Ones. I don't know why we would assume that those are the only ones. Like, what, you know, I just assume now, like, I don't know who the else is compromised.
Yeah, that was just what was named in the indictments. They didn't name all of them. They said there were, I think, somewhere of 500 creators plus, if I had to guess.
Right. Yeah. Maybe. We'll see. Anyways, it was good talking to you.